Warning, warning, warning! If you don't want spoilers, click away. Free Guy has a fun, unique concept for its plot. In a Grand Theft Auto style of MMORPG, NPCs can become sentient. Consciousness first springs up in our hero, Guy. He's a sweet bank teller who loves his life, his fish, and his best friend. Guy awakens to life when he falls for a PC at first sight, but while it's love at first sight for him, she first dismisses his infatuation as nothing but a curiosity. His best buddy also isn't supportive and tells him not to go for her. This is because normal people like themselves are supposed to remain as either fodder or fun for the PCs, not anything else. The PCs, known as the sunglasses people, are seen as a shade above the rest. Being dismissed doesn't stop Guy though. Instead, his desire for her leads to ambition for other things. Soon, he just doesn't want romance. He also wants a better, interesting life for himself. As a result, he begins to change the daily loop of his life. Then, when she tells him,
I don't know if anybody does it, but you could rack experience points up by being a good guy. If you don't want to shoot people, you could steal their guns. All that shit makes your level go up. Get over 100, and we'll talk.
he becomes a hero in his own peaceful way as he tries to impress the woman he loves, the good. Guy is what audiences have come to expect from Ryan Reynolds. He's in his typical typecasting, the good-hearted, charismatic, wisecracking charmer who can also fight.
Parallel contact, babe!
Well, you know, you've always said that you wished you'd met me earlier. Here I am. There's more.
Can't wait to see what happens next.
That's called foreshadowing.
I know what it's called.
I was just making sure.
Shut up.
Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie? I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with pulverine.
I believe it's pronounced thank you.
Despite how much he's done it, I think he's good at it. This movie was no different for me in that way. If you like Ryan Reynolds' acting and charisma, then you'll probably like Guy and his jokes too, but if this usual role gets on your nerves, you'll probably want to skip the movie as he carries the movie. There are some neat video game references to be found, some are blatant and some are in the background. These Easter eggs can be fun to spot, and the movie's also rather pretty. They did spend a lot to make it so. The bad. Unfortunately, the movie's plot soon changes from a neat concept into a plot hole-filled, toxic rom-com. It's one of those films that I feel could have been so much more. One which had an intriguing jumping-off point, but then it jumped into garbage. The entire movie winds up revolving around Millie and Keys, who are the creators of the AI in the game, and how much Keys didn't like being friend-zoned by Millie. Millie turns out to be the player behind the PC that our hero, Guy, likes. It turns out that he only likes her thanks to Keys. This is because a corporate man, Antoine, bought Keys and Millie's code, said it was shelved, and then secretly used it in his game, Free City, to power the AI. This means that within the code of Free City is Keys' own self-insert. He wrote a Gary Stu because he was feeling angst about his unrequited crush on his coworker and wrote this character up. What makes this worse is that even when you first see Keys with Millie in a flashback, it's clear that Keys has unrequited romantic feelings for her.
I've got to ask. There is a lot of chemistry between the two of you. Has this evolved into
Nope.
more than...
No way, no.
No.
It's extrovert platonic, like best friends.
Friendship.
And now you're...
While he's too cowardly to voice them directly, he's not subtle. Millie would have to have a disability to be totally blind to her coworkers' feelings for years. Where they're at currently, when the movie kicks off, also doesn't make me root for them as a future couple. Keys betrayed Millie in the past, before the movie starts, by not only going to work for the greedy corporate guy who backstabbed them both, but also by agreeing not to interact with her any longer.
We're breaking and entering now?
How does it feel working for a galactic black hole of frozen shit?
You have to leave. I can't talk to you.
Oh, shame will have that effect.
No, Millie, I mean, looking at your lips move violates my NDA and it could get me fired.
Meanwhile, she's playing Free City to try and get proof for her lawsuit against Antoine, a lawsuit which Keys would also highly benefit from if she won. Plus, by the time he finally does decide to help Millie, switching to her side seems even better for him personally. On top of everything else, Keys learns that his current job is about to get much worse. Antoine wants to release a subpar, buggy sequel to Free City, make nothing backwards compatible despite promises to the consumer base, and to rush all of this to completion in mere days. Keys knows it's a bad idea, that the release is going to bomb, and he's frustrated by how disrespected he is when he tries to bring that or other topics up at his job. While the idea of an imminent release adds tension to the movie, since Guy and the other NPCs face deletion, and Millie's located proof in the game would also be deleted, it's also a big problem character-wise and narratively. This is because for Key's character development, it's a big problem because while it's possible that he's finally doing the right thing for the right reasons, his choice doesn't seem noble by the time he makes it. His delayed decision-making combined with extreme personal benefit by the time he decides, and having little to lose as well, doesn't make Keyes seem courageous or having any kind of redemption. After all, his focus doesn't seem to be solely on making up for past mistakes or for the virtue of friendship or for the virtue of saving a life form. It just seems like he suddenly had everything built up and decided, F it.
Nothing matters more than numbers. You should be thanking me.
I should be thanking you. What about the profits that you got from our work?
You chose your side, little Padawan. And now it's time for you to take your place next to the Emperor. You get me, bro?
Yeah, I get you, bro. Which leads me to this.
It's also worth noting that the friend zone plot is not only big, but it gets bigger as it goes. At one point, after finding out that Guy is an NPC, the film even dedicates time to Millie whining to Keyes about how she can never manage to find a nice man to be with, and how she always ends up in toxic relationships. Why can't she just find a nice guy? Plus, when she's consistently treating him like a friend and putting her own neck on the line, and he's not reciprocating for a good portion of the movie, then that doesn't cast him in a good light either. It seems as if he's bitter and doesn't have a reason to be, to the point that he's even screwing himself over. Yet, by the end of the movie, Millie realizes that love was under her nose all along and runs to Keyes prettily. She can't even wait for him to finish a coffee run. And of course, there's someone cheering their love on. I didn't enjoy any of that. I do think that tropes can be done well, and there are always exceptions to rules, but the friend zone trope usually underlines that a woman, sometimes a man, doesn't know what they really want, and how they should give some person they're not interested in a chance. This movie's no different. Plus, as usual, a confession of love is treated more like a charm spell than a confession. Despite Keyes' blatant signs of attraction for her for years, she doesn't fully get that he likes her and why until she hears him literally expressing his desire for her word for word. Once the be literal about love spell is cast, then that's when she runs to him ready for his love, smiling and eager. And again, things got worse. If you've ever read a fan fiction with a Mary Sue or Gary Stu, then you know how different a self-insert can be from the person who wrote it, and this situation was about the same. The guy was just a love letter from Keyes, so of course she could fall for the guy who wrote her the love letter. But the biggest problem with that idea was that Guy was nothing like Keyes. Guy is what you'd expect from a Gary Stu. Handsome, charming, funny, likable, wise, and so on, and Keyes is not. Even on a basic overall level, Guy is an extrovert and Keyes is an introvert. The idea that Millie would go from one to the other with equal feeling doesn't seem at all believable given all of that. And still, things got even worse story-wise, because as all of that went on, what I did like about the movie was destroyed and undermined. This is because Guy's interesting personal character development got smashed along the way as the romance developed. There are several cool plot points which turned out to go nowhere, which weren't explored and became plot holes. Meanwhile, Guy's own feelings, sentience, and even ability to love are undermined. After all, if he's nothing but a love letter, then he can't really feel love, even if he thinks he does. And then that calls into question, does he even truly think if he can't truly feel? How much of him is just nothing but program? Which decisions were actual? The movie can't seem to make up its mind, and it doesn't come across in an intriguing way, but a sloppy way. Sloppiness in the writing is also pretty consistent. I don't want to go over the whole movie when it comes to the plot holes, so I'll give a couple of examples. One moment happens soon after he gains sentience. Guy decides that he wants to try cappuccino. This doesn't sound like a big deal, but in context it is, because it's not a normal choice. NPCs always get the same type of coffee. His deviation causes extremely hostile reactions. If you've ever seen the movie Inception, it's a lot like when a person goes against the dream. It's an eerie moment. Guy's life is clearly under threat from the other NPCs and perhaps even the game world itself. A tank on the street even reacts to his words in the cafe, despite the game's semi-normal physics. After all, the tank's occupant should be unable to hear Guy speak inside of the cafe. An officer NPC also directly threatens Guy and tells him in a strangely hostile way that he's about to be shot. In a panic, Guy backtracks, claims that he was just joking, and everyone snaps back to normal, smiles all around. That hostility and creepy back and forth is never explained, and it never happens again. Another plot hole is central to the plot, a big magical kissing scene. Early in the movie, it's established that there's no button for kissing, players just can't do it, and Keyes is surprised that Guy and Millie were able to kiss in the game.
There's not a button for that.
Oh, he found the button.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yet, when Guy has his memory wiped, then Millie's suddenly able to kiss an NPC, and he's back like a sleeping Disney prince. This is also made weirder by how he first fell for her. After all, he should have fallen again under the same circumstances and not needed a lip lock. Established story beats being ignored is a common problem in movies, but I find shortcuts like that cheap, disruptive for the setting, and usually unnecessary. I think it also could have been sweeter if they had done it another way and helped build up Millie's character. After all, she did note that he had an unusual reaction when she first hummed a song. I think her remembering that moment would not only be sweeter than a lip lock because it would show that she remembered their initial meeting, but also underline that she could pinpoint when his glitch started and use her creative, engineer-like mind to recreate the moment. This would also have foreshadowed her realizing that she couldn't live in Guy's virtual world because she'd be shown as understanding how it all worked and realizing on a deep level that it was an illusory world that she couldn't be a part of. Instead, the lip lock reminded me of Ryan George's pitch meetings on YouTube. I could almost hear writer guy and producer guy speaking to each other. Yeah, she tries and tries to get him to remember her, but he doesn't. Wow, it's gonna be hard for him to remember things with a white memory. Actually, it's gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah. How? She's gonna kiss him. Wasn't there no button for that? Like, it was a big thing. Oopsie. Lastly, the happy ending felt meh to me. Everything's good and wonderful for everyone except the evil corporate guy. So the bad guy gets karma, NPCs get a paradise, Millie, Keyes, and Keyes' buddy form a company that they love and happily work together in, and Keyes gets the girl he pined for. He's out of the friend zone. None of that was satisfying to me. Antoine was comedic and underdeveloped as a villain, so him getting karma wasn't gratifying. Whether or not the NPCs were even sentient was an underdeveloped concept, and it was consistently undermined by the plot. So seeing them all finally live in a nice place wasn't a relief. Keyes' buddy, who joined his and Millie's new company, was underdeveloped. He was so unmemorable that I don't even remember the character's name now. Millie suddenly falling for Keyes felt forced, and I wasn't rooting for them to be a couple, but then they were one, the end. I think others may like Free Guy. I can see that it's an okay action flick, yet I felt misled by what it was supposed to be about versus where and how it actually went. Also, as the rom-com it became, it was worse than many other rom-coms I've seen, although it wasn't the worst. This is why I personally give it a 2 out of 5. Overall, it's not one of the worst movies I've seen. It's filmed well, acted well, and has some good moments, but due to its sloppy and disappointing plot, along with a core lame romance, I think it's a little worse than mediocre.